YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for the last entry in the Wave 11 of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, the Power Rangers Zeo COG. This is technically our second or third COG release, depending on how you look on it. I mean, it's the second release, but it's the third COG, because the other one was a 2-pack. Anywho, let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories. First, he does have an alternate human head. Who knew they had human heads? I'm just kidding. It's actually the alternate open head for when they do that attack, which is a really cool detail, and I think it looks really good. And unfortunately, my main head sculpt has some little paint mistake speckles on the top, and this one doesn't, which is kind of nice. You get two versions of his bow staff weapon here, the kind of retracted one and then the unretracted one, which they look solid. This is kind of a hard one to, I guess, mess up or to be mad about, because it's a really basic weapon. Then you got a couple alternate hands. You have one open and then one closed fist, and then on him is just holding weapons hands. I kind of wish that he either just had two of the same hand or just two full sets. It's just kind of weird to have one open and then one closed fist. Like, why not two closed fists and two open ones? And then the main draw of this, I guess, outside of army building, is he does include Zeo Ranger 3's weapon, which was not included with Zeo Ranger 3's figure. I think he was the only one that didn't have his weapon. So they're rectifying it by having you buy it with this, which is nice. You know, there's definitely been some really random inconsistencies with with certain weapons coming with certain Rangers, depending on the series. I mean, we just had it with Dino Charge Pink, with her being the only one to include her individual weapon, but without the armor. So that's definitely been something weird. It's definitely nice that they acknowledged it and found a way for you to get it, but it also sucks that you might have to buy this if you really want to complete that if you're not interested in the COG. I don't know if there was a better way to do that. I don't know, like, what you guys would prefer personally. Like, would you prefer just them re-releasing Zeo 3 with it or an updated Zeo 3 with it? I'm not sure exactly what I prefer, but I think it's nice they did it, even if it's just awkward sometimes the way they handle these situations. Now, as far as the figure itself, if you're familiar with my reviews, you know I talk sometimes about how the villains are kind of something I'm not all that interested in regards to the Lightning Collection, unless it's something Ranger-esque like Korag or Void Knight, and I'm particularly not that interested in the henchmen. But with that being said, they wind up being pretty solid figures, and that's no exception here. This is a good figure. I think it's really nice. I mean, I mentioned there is some little paint speckle problems a little bit on the top of the head of mine that I have, but it's not too huge of a deal. Like, you can barely notice it. That's just something you'll have to sort of look at in store, like find the one that has the least paint speckles. But setting that aside, I think it has an overall really nice head sculpt. It's got a really nice gold shine to it. I think it looks accurately and well proportioned. And then you do have a darker body here. There is a difference between this one and the one you got with the 2-pack, because the 2-pack included kind of the like red sand looking one and the silver one. And this one is a darker silver. I'll show a comparison here in a second, but it's actually nice you get a third variant, so you don't just have to rebuy another one and it can add to your army building. And I actually really like the way this one looks. Like, it's got this kind of nice dark shiny silver, but it's also a little bit see-through-ish, and it's just got a really nice look to it. And I think it does one of the best jobs at kind of covering up, you know, being able to see all the joints and folds and stuff. And I think it overall looks really solid, and it's probably my favorite of the COGs just look-wise. I mean, it's pretty basic. They're basically wearing a onesie, but it's just my personal favorite of the way they look. And overall, same articulation, very solid on this one, no problems. Nice ball joint here, swiveling at the leg. You do have a little bit of a clicky knee joint there, but it's still solid. Hinge joint here at the foot, hinge joint at the waist, ball joint at the chest, nice ball and hinge joint here at the arm, swiveling at the arm, elbow joint here, swiveling at the fist, and then the nice head and neck articulation for all the creepy villain stuff. But no loose joint problems, kind of like Lunar Wolf, except for this one being a little bit clicky. It's kind of almost that nice sweet spot where it doesn't feel like anything's too loose, but it doesn't feel overly tight. And overall, it's a solid figure. I only bring up my lack of interest in the villain figures because I just want to highlight that despite me going in with like no interest, I'm impressed with it being a solid figure, and I just find it generally funny that it's some of the figures that I'm the least interested in the line in general that end up being some of the most solid or even best releases. Now, just for some comparisons here he is with the ones from the 2-pack, so you can see the differences posed like their first day at COG school. So the 2-pack included these two. This one has the lighter silver with a little bit of a pattern, and this one is that sort of red sand I talked about. So there is a difference there, but I think that's nice. You know, they very easily could have just repackaged like this guy or this guy and had you rebuy it. But it's a small difference, but I think it's nice that they included that so that it can add to your army building. I'm not much of an army builder, but I like that between buying these two things, I have a little mini army that's sufficiently satisfying satisfying. Or maybe you would want to pick up one other one and then you have 4, which I think is solid. So it's appreciated that there is a difference to it, and as I said, I think it might be my favorite overall look-wise of the bunch. And unless there's something like really small that I'm missing, they appear to have the exact same head sculpt. There's no real major differences there. And then just for the fun of it, here's the original 90s release that I compared to in the previous review, which honestly isn't a half bad figure. Like, obviously, this cog or the other 2 cogs are the overall better figure I'd recommend for the best quality, but this one's not too bad. Like, the helmet sculpt's a little bit more inaccurate, but compared to some of the other villain releases or even henchman releases that look horribly, strangely inaccurate, this one is not half bad. Plus, you can do this. So, this can't do that. 0 out of 10. Overall, this is a solid figure. This isn't my absolute favorite or most excited figure, but I think if you're into henchman collecting, into villain collecting, you're interested in the cog, you want an army build, overall, solid release within the wave, and oddly enough, it's the one that I have the least complaints or nitpicks about of the entire line. Or not the entire line, but the entire lineup of Wave 11. But that's about it for this one though, guys. Until next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.